microbe
It's 070804.
is pretty simple. They're living organisms that are so small that you can't see them unless you have a microscope. Usually they have a single cell. So the biggest misunderstanding is that they're bad, and they're not, right? So bacteria like Staphylococcus and Salmonella and cholera, they get all the press. That's what you read about in the newspaper. But most bacteria are not like that. Most bacteria are helpful. They help us digest our food. They help protect us from disease. And they help break down all the organic matter that would build up around us. Recycling things like nitrogen and phosphorus so that plants can use those nutrients again to grow. So microbes are abundant like crazy. Like I said, it's like 1 million bacteria in a teaspoon of seawater, but they're also really small. So I mean, if you look in that teaspoon of water, they're not elbow to elbow, right? So if you take one of those bacteria and blow it up about 1 trillion times, it's about the size of this little thumb drive. And you can picture that moving around in the water, the ocean. Then if those 1 million bacteria are spread out equally, the next ones would be about this far away. So even though there's a lot of them, there's a lot of room for them to move around. They're still pretty spread out. Yeah, so microbes are small, that's true. I mean, they're super small, but they're super abundant. Like a teaspoon of seawater contains 1 million bacterial cells, right? And the biomass of those bacteria is actually more than the biomass of all the macroscopic life. There's just a tremendous amount of material there. So even though they're small, they account for most of the biology on the planet. In ecosystems, the bacteria, they're like the back end of the food web. Right? So you have the plants, and they make all this organic matter, create this new food for the ecosystem to feed on, and animals eat the plants, and some other microscopic animals eat the plants. But a lot of that material that gets produced by the plants really gets consumed and turned back into carbon dioxide and turned into inorganic nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus by the bacteria. Mm-hmm. They're the cleanup crew for the whole thing. And if they weren't there, that organic matter would be piling up all around us. It would be ridiculous. Now, bacteria in our body are essential. They're symbiotic. We would be in a huge amount of trouble if it weren't for these bacteria. And we think mostly about the ones in our gut, and don't get me wrong, they're very important. They help us digest our food, and help us get the most out of the food that we eat. Our bodies would be very inefficient at extracting nutrition from our food if it weren't for those bacteria and the relationship that we have with them. But there's also bacteria in your skin, and there's bacteria in your mouth, and your ears and your nose, and they're there, and you have a symbiosis with them as well, and they help protect us from disease and help keep our bodies clean, although I guess we use soap also. And the bacteria that grow on the outside of our bodies, they don't really like the soap that much. But there are people who believe that that symbiosis with us, microbes on the outside of our bodies, is interrupted by the fact that we use soap. I mean, when we evolved, we didn't use soap, really. We had it rinsed off a bit, but those bacteria were probably there helping to keep us from smelling bad. I don't know. I can imagine it. I think microbes are cool because we just don't know very much about them. I'd say they're the biggest mystery in the biological world. they're extremely diverse, right? So a liter of seawater can contain 100,000 different bacterial species in it, right? And I mean, it's just a staggering number of species to think about. And the funny thing is, we really don't know very much about them. We don't know very much about their genetics. We don't know very much about their metabolisms, how they live. Mm-hmm. We just don't know much about their lifestyles. So there's a huge amount of discovery to be done yet with microbes on this planet. There's a lot that we still just don't know about yet.